Welcome back to Build Your Legacy. Today, I'm here with Head Commissioner Brandon Morgan. My name is Steven Jackson. We're going to be giving you guys some league updates. Just an announcement, quick announcement about 2 weeks out from, the release of the game. We're 3 weeks out from the start of the season, 4 weeks, really, the start of our online dynasty. So we kind of want to give a very urgent announcement and, the structure and criteria of what's going to go into really the rewards section of our league, as well as like incentives and then rules as well. Because I think without rules, the league is going to turn into a pissing contest. It's going to turn into something that we don't want it to be. We want to keep everything realistic. So rewards, obviously, every season we plan on giving out $100 to the national champion, which we said already before, $20 to each conference champion. And we went ahead and added Heisman winner as well. I think it's going to be very hard to win the Heisman with the wear and tear system they announced. You can't just spam a certain player. Now, quarterbacks might be a little bit easier, but I think for the most part, being at a small school, it's going to be kind of hard to win the Heisman. And me and head commissioner, Brandon Morgan, we went over the kind of reward system. We're going to tinker with some things and tweak them. But as of right now, us commissioners, there's 5 of us, we're going to fund everything as far as rewards given out. So as far as rewards that are giving out in the dynasty, we are going to fund those. We may add rewards later in the year. A man of the year type award where someone who's not doing so hot, but they're playing every game, they're very active. We could add an award for that. We may up the national championship award later down the line if we're getting good activity, stuff like that. But as far as, the rewards and how we're handing them out, as long as everyone follows the rules, which what we'll get to in a second, we are going to fund everything. So in, the perfect world, in the fairy tale world, the commissioners are going to fund everything. You guys don't have to pay a dime. But to move on to, how we are going to get, fines and I guess you would say input from, users is, the dynasty is based on keeping a realistic experience both on and off the football field. You guys have already seen off the field how we've been doing the, coaches interviews and keeping everything very interactive. We're going to have a standard but strict gameplay rules that must be followed within the dynasty. Every rule has a fine, monetary fine or punishment associated with it to hold every coach accountable. So to keep an example, obviously I have the slideshow up, but me and Brandon are just going to kind of talk about it. Again, this is an off the cuff conversation. This isn't something we scripted. This is going to be a conversation that, me and him have had, on FaceTime, on the phone, through Messenger. But essentially what we're planning on doing is, let's say there's a rule, which again, we haven't come up with the rules yet because we need the game to come out, but a rule that we know we're going to have is a 4th down rule. Right. So depending on whatever, parameters we set, whether it's 4th and 2, 4th and 4, whatever it is, that 4th down rule, if you break the 4th down rule, there's going to be a fine for that. So let's say the fine is $5. And if you break the rule, then you need to send in $5. And that $5 that you send in is going to go towards the rewards at the end of the season. So again, this is to negate people from breaking rules and there being no punishment. Because at the end of the day, a rule is meant to keep things in order. Some people are going to say rules are meant to be broken. Now, if you're one of those people, you're going to pay for those rules. And we're going to come up with this strict criteria on an Excel sheet of the levels of when you break a rule. So someone can't just break the same rule over and over because they don't care about giving $5. We're going to add a suspension of a player like you guys see on the screen. So if you're in a playoff game and you say it's 4th and 4, I'm going to break this rule and I don't care. I'll just pay the $5. You'll pay the $5 and you're going to lose your quarterback for the next round. So just to kind of keep that in perspective, and not every rule is going to be $5. So depending on what rule it is you broke, the circumstance you break it in, the fine may be higher. We're not doing this to keep your money. That's not what neither me or Brandon or any other commissioners need your money. But we both agreed, as well as other users who are not commissioners agreed, that adding this sort of punishment to rule breaking, being monetary, payments and fines, will reduce the amount of rules that are being broken. And it's going right back into you guys, into the league. So it's not like you're paying $5 and I'm going to go get a coffee from Starbucks the next day. We're going to have a cash app that's designated for the league itself. So we're going to make a cash app for the league. And every single week, we're going to have a Discord channel that has all of the fines that's being paid in and all the rewards that's being paid out. So we're going to have a transaction log, which what we have on the next slide, a transaction log for transparency. And every week we're going to screenshot the Cash App balance and we're going to post it into the Discord. So everyone knows that the money is still in there. No one's using the money. No one's putting money in and using it as some sort of credit of sorts. So that's how we're going to do it. And again, this league is completely optional. This is something that was kind of, made to be an idea, I would say, over the last couple of days. So yes, I mean, a lot of people are going to say, why wasn't this brought up before? This is not something that we had in our sites before. But this is just something that me and Brandon talked about. Brandon, I kind of want to get your input on it. Like, why do you feel like it's important to have something like this?
Yeah, the reason why I mainly think it's important is because it keeps transparency out throughout the league. If it's something that we just put in, a lot of guys they don't know this was going to come out or happen all of a sudden. But at the end of the day, if you respect the league and you follow all the rules, you won't have to pay a dollar, and all the money will go. If you do have a fine or something, the money's going to go straight to the league cash app, and it's going to go right back to you guys. So it's not like we're just going to take your money and spend it for whatever we want to do. It's going to go right back to y'all for the Heisman championship, stuff like that. And it depending on what the balance is, hopefully y'all don't break many rules at all. But if there's a
Facts.
lot of money in there, we can give it out other ways, like man of the year, coach of the year, stuff like that. So we're not here to take nobody's money, but we're here to create a balance for the league, so it's not super cheesy and people are just not out here breaking rules for fun.
Yeah, and so again, the whole purpose of rules, you're not supposed to break rules. So if those of you who have an issue with having to pay a fine for breaking a rule, then that's showing that you plan on breaking rules. Now, again, the accidents happen. So we may have, the first week or two where there won't be any fines for rules broken in the first week or two. So everybody can kind of get adjusted to the game. But once we are in the thick of the season and people have kind of got accustomed to the game, it's a new game. I understand that. But if you break a rule, there's a punishment for that. And again, no one is forcing anyone to be in the league. This league is completely optional. But if you're wanting to run a successful league and you want everything to be strict and have a strict criteria and a rule set, there has to be punishments in place. Because what we used to do in previous times when we ran our Madden league, it was like, okay, you broke a rule, that's a warning. You break it again, it's a suspension. You break another one, you get kicked out. So I'm not here to kick anyone out the league, but I also understand that if we tell somebody, hey, if you break this fourth down rule, it's a $5 payment, chances are you're going to make sure you don't break that rule so you don't have to pay the money. And again, if you're one of those guys who $5 doesn't mean anything to you and you're outspoken about it and you say, well, I'm going to break the rule just to pay the $5, there's going to be additional consequences, as in suspending players. And if you're also one of those guys who break 3 to 4 rules, then we're just going to get rid of you. Because at that point, if you're breaking the same rule, intentionally, just because you don't care about $5 and you're trying to get an advantage, that's going to be an issue as well. So there is going to be steps that we take to up and up and up. We're not asking anybody to pay $30 for a rule break. That's not what we're saying. But at the end of the day, at the previous screen, we're giving out $100 to the national champion, $20 for each conference winner, and a Heisman. If you do the math, let's just say a user wins a Power 4 conference, a national championship, and the Heisman winner. That's going to be what? That's $200 we got to give out as commissioners. There's only 5 of us. That means that there's $40 we'd have to give out of our own pockets. But if there's fines being broken, that reduces the amount that we have to give out. We're not just going to make up rules as we go, so you guys have to pay. The rules are going to be set in stone, and there's not going to be many rules. There's going to be fourth down rules. There's going to be, player editing rules, positional changes. We're not going to have any rules that's outside of actual football in real life. So I just want to make sure that's known as well. There's going to be standard rule sets for most Madden leagues that you'll find. These rules are going to be pretty much the same. So again, we'll have the rules put out there probably 2 to 3 games after the game comes out, so everyone has a viewpoint on them and an understanding of them. But at the end of the day, if you break a rule, there's going to be a punishment for it. Again, it may be a $5 fine, a $10 fine, depending on what the situation is. We're going to come up with a criteria before the league starts, so that way people can't say that there's bias. And let's say John Smith breaks a rule and we only give him a $5 punishment, but then Sally Brown breaks a rule and we give her a $15 punishment for the same exact rule in the same exact scenario. Everything is going to be highlighted, so that way everybody knows the structure and the way we're going to break everything down. And again, we don't want there to be any gray areas. So that's another issue. So as commissioners, we're going to make sure everything is transparent. When it comes to the transaction log, if you have to pay a fine, we're going to type in there, so-and-so paid fine, New Balance is at $25 in the reward fund, and it's going to grow. And at the end of the year, we're going to put out that reward fund every single year. Everything's going to be super transparent, so everybody knows where the money is. Everybody knows where the money is coming in, where the money is going out, so they know. And again, those of you guys who never break a rule will never pay a dime. So please, when viewing this video, understand that if you don't break a rule, this has nothing to do with you. But if you are one of those guys who consistently will break a rule or break a rule every couple of weeks, this is going to pertain to you. And I'm going to be honest, we're all probably going to break a rule. Commissioners are going to have to pay as well. And then we're all going to show proof for all payment. Nobody's excluded from these fines. Everybody's going to have to pay if they're in the situation where they break a rule. And again, everybody has to be able to put in the same amount of effort into making this a good league. That's what we're trying to do. So by adding this, I think people are going to sit back and say, you know what? I'm going to take this serious because I don't want to spend $5. I don't want to lose my quarterback, in week 4 against Penn State on the road. I don't want to do that. So this is something that we implemented so that way we can kind of keep the league grounded, keep everything structured. And so that way, not one person is just saying, well, I'm going to break a rule because I'm okay with having a suspension next week against Bowling Green. I don't play against a tough user. So this is kind of the direction we're heading. And again, after you guys view this whole video, if it's something that you don't like, please DM one of us, me or the head commissioner, and let us know if you have any suggestions, if there's any complaints or if there's any recommendations. But this is the direction we're heading regarding rules because we've been in leagues before where people just break the rules. And again, for the 4th or 5th time, if you don't break a rule, this doesn't pertain to you. So this isn't a mandatory thing. We're not asking for money every year. We are giving you guys money every single year as national champions, conference champions, and Heisman winners, and possible other rewards. We are out of our own pockets giving away money. So again, if you guys break a rule, that money that we're already giving out is going to get bigger because now you are now inputting into that pot of rewards. The money's not coming to one of us. It's going right back to you guys. So again, Brandon, I'm not sure if you have anything else to say as we kind of round out this video. I think we covered everything. If we need to, put out another video, we can. But is there anything else you kind of want to hit on before we head out?
I know that the main topic in the chat is going to be like what rules carry a lot of weight and which rules don't. I don't like referring back to Madden constantly, but that's the main league that we ran all these years with NCAA being gone. The 4th down rule is going to be very important. That
Yes.
rule would change the momentum of a game in a heartbeat, and it can if you're in like crunch time. I don't know what the 4th down rule will be right now because we haven't played the game in college is a lot more open than NFL is. But if you're breaking that 4th down rule, it can change the outcome of a game very fast.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the most severe rule that we have. If y'all are curious of like what rules are like hold certain weight or not, and it's going to be the 4th down rule most importantly.
And I think what we're going to do is whether we come up with a structured way of breaking down the rules. I think in reality, so just to kind of, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here, but so in the judicial system in real life, every crime has a different punishment. I mean, if we're being honest, and it's all judged by a panel. So what we'll do, if anything, is me and you will be on a panel and we'll select maybe 2 to 3 other users that are not commissioners. And that'll be for that season, that'll be the penalty or fine committee. And when someone breaks a rule, the 5 people will come together and we'll try to figure out the punishment. And obviously early on, it's going to be kind of tough to tell, but we're going to keep track of everything. So inside the transaction log or the Discord log that shows all the fines, we'll put John Smith, 4th down penalty or 4th down rule break in 4th quarter of this game, $5 fine. That'll stay in the Discord. So in 4 weeks later, when someone has that same exact scenario, we know exactly what to use. But there's certain situations where it may be a playoff game. It may be a situation where a guy moves a corner to a safety spot when he wasn't supposed to. Something like that where rules are going to be implemented. 4th down rule is the easiest one to talk about now because obviously it's the most glaring thing that we know we're going to have. But we'll come up with some sort of committee outside of the commissioners. So that way people know there's no bias. And we'll rotate that committee every year. So the first year will be 5 people. The next year will be a new set of people. And we'll keep switching them. So that way there's no, well, you guys are just picking on me type of thing. So that way that can't be a narrative. Everyone's going to have a say on, what the penalties and fines are going to be, but we also have to stick to the same standard. So if one person gets hit with a $10 fine for this, then 5 weeks later, if someone does the exact same fine or the exact same rule break, it's the same thing. It's not, well, he's a better user, so he should get a more, a bigger fine. That's not how it's going to be. We're going to have everything strict. But again, early on, we're at the beginning stages. So we have to set a standard and set a criteria and a structure to build off of. It's not going to be anything crazy. No one's going to get hit with a $50 fine. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. It's going to be $3, $5, $4, like something very minimal, but where it's going to add up and it's going to, go into that reward pot to put out. And again, we don't want it to be $1 or $2 a fine, because at the same time, someone's just going to break the rule to break the rule. So if you're one of those guys who, you're setting a pattern of breaking rules, then we're either just going to get rid of you, or we're going to have to sit you down, let you know, hey, you got to suspend this player for 2-3 weeks or whatever the case may be. Because at the end of the day, we want everybody with a good interest and the best interest at heart for the league itself. So at the end of the day, we're putting in money. We're not asking you guys to put in money, but if you break rules, then that's where you guys come into play. So again, if there's any questions, we'll make a subsequent video after this, a part 2, if you guys need us to kind of go more in depth of how we're going to do it. Again, when the game comes out, we'll come up with a committee of 3 more people along with me and Brandon. And we'll have, like I said, a list of, in the transaction log, of the rule that's broken and whatever rules make up what fines. And then we'll keep track of all the money that's in there, give it out at the end of the year, and then we start from scratch with a new committee. So I appreciate you guys. Those of you guys stuck around. I hope everybody stuck around, because this is a very important video. This is not something that in week 5, that if you get hit with a fine, now you're like, where the hell did this come from? Because again, we tag everyone every single day. And again, before we head out, I want to make sure everybody knows you're not forced to be in this league. There's going to be thousands of leagues that's being made. So if you don't agree with this, then please let us know. We can fill your spot. This is nothing personal. It's just business. I know Brandon has said that multiple times. But at the end of the day, man, that's what it is. We want to run a good league. I'm sure we can find 32 people who are willing to agree to the fines structure and really make this league the best it can be. So we hope to see everybody in the comment section. I'm probably going to have everybody hit agree or type agree in the comment section, so we know everybody has actually watched the video. But we will see you guys in the Discord channel, as well as at Selection Sunday, and to the rest of these coaches interviews. Peace out, everybody.